Hello and welcome to the finals of Grand Prix Florence 2015. I'm your host Matej Zalkai here with Simon Gertzen and Frank Carson, and we have an all-German final. Plenty of experience in this top four, and even like it's going to be even better after this finals where we have GP top 8 in Robin Steinborn, Jasper in top 8 at the Grand Prix last week, and we know Adrian Rosada is probably with the biggest pedigree of them all, a winner at GP Paris 2009. So we're up to a good final, I think.
It's also going to be a good-natured one because the players know each other. They always play at the same card shop in Berlin. They even traveled here together, shared the same apartment, and now they're here in the finals.
Yeah, we saw both players draft. We know Adrian Rosada is on blue-black. Robin Steiner is on red-white. I'd be very surprised if there's no 2-drop. There's a call again, aspirant from Robin Steinborn getting on the board quickly. And it might be exactly what he needs to get on the board fast. But there's an updraft element from Adrian Rosada, who's very happy to pick up a blue-black deck again.
Yeah, his deck has a really strong late game. We saw his draft earlier. He managed to pick up a Deathbringer Regent as well as an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So once Adrian hits 7 or 8 mana, all of these big late game cards will come out. And he also has several Gurmak Drowners in order to find those late game bombs.
And interestingly, Robin read Adrian for drafting control on mid-range again. So Robin was already knowing that he needed some ways to push through, and he told me that exactly. He needed to push through Adrian's 1-force. So he was expecting updraft elemental and needs to draw something like Kindled Fury or something to get through. Is also hoping for his rares, of course, to make a big impact here. Descent of the Dragons, potentially.
Yeah, there's an Ukut Cobra. So I think Robin Steinborn will move his attacks in the air, flipping over a Misthoof Kirin,
which does threaten to get blocked by the updraft elemental, but then at least the territorial rock can come in for 1 point of damage.
Yeah, Robin Steinberg also has a scale blessing. So he can bolster up the Colgan aspirant and then put some more counters on his creatures. However, he also just drew the Descent of the Dragons, the card which he first picked. So that might also be a pretty good long-term plan. He's attacking with his Colgan aspirant here.
Well, it's nice that he has the scale blessing that will allow him to grow it to, well, a 4/3 creature. Yeah, then along with the ping, even if it gets blocked by Ukut Cobra, it would take down the 2/5 in combat.
Yeah, and survive a block by Colgan Skirmisher as well.
Yeah, really nice attack here because this is a trade you would be happy to make. And if Adrian blocks with any other creature, it actually dies to the scale blessing.
Ooh, so there's a double block. I'm surprised. So triggers the Colgan aspirant and then goes for the scale blessing. So that's bolster 1, then put a 1/1 counter on each creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. So that's going to grow the Misthoof Kirin up to a 4/3. The Ukut Cobra trades with the aspirant, and the updraft elemental dies to the Kirin. So I think it was a really good turn from Robin. I'm not sure if that was the best idea from Adrian Rosada.
Yeah, difficult to play around. Usually it's good to make this kind of double block where if something happens to the Cobra, at least you've kept your Kirin around. But of course, exactly the opposite happened. So
Skill Blessing was the perfect card for that situation, but it is an uncommon, not a common, so you can't always play around it if you're Adrian.
Adrian has the Whisk Away though, so he'll at least delay the Kirin for a turn.
The Whisk Away, I think, would actually have been a reason not to block. So that
yes,
you
I agree. Keep
that
it for to turn after. Yeah, Robin has another aspirant, and I think he's going to add a morph in, which is a Stormcrate elemental, which also is threatening to be quite problematic. I think Adrian Rosada's draft showed that, he doesn't have that much removal. He has a Whisk Away and Deathwind as one of the few ways to interact. And it looked like he might struggle against maybe big creatures and fast starts.
Sure, but Deathbringer Regent as well as Ugin the Spirit Dragon also count as removal.
There wasn't too much hard removal in the draft.
Yep.
We didn't really see a lot of that. Robin Steinborn took, I think, an enduring victory very early on, and that was pretty much it.
Yep. So there's a Palace Familiar and a Gurmak Drowner, so it could be a decent turn for Adrian Rosada. So it gets the value, gets the card, so sacks the Palace Familiar, draws a card for that, and now gets to look at the top 4 cards of the library and put 1 into his hand, and the others in the graveyard. So, what can we see here? I saw a couple lands, but I'm sure he got a spell there. Couldn't see which one. Bins the cities, he's faithful in 2 lands, so that's fine. I think he has a flatten. Possible. Anyway, Robin Steinborn now, he's going to draw his Misthoof Kieran. He has 5 mana, so he'll be able to Megamorph it when he sees fit. Nibbles in with the Territorial Rock for 1. And with the Descent of the Dragons in hand and already 4 creatures in play, I quite like Robin Steinborn's spot here.
And Adrian cannot really put on the pressure to force Robin to trade off any more creatures either.
It looks like Adrian has the Deathwind, Code with Venom, and just also has a Silumgar Scorn. Pretty good card against the 6 mana Descent of the Dragons, but he'll have some trouble maybe against the Stormcrag Elemental if Adrian just blows his Deathwind on Mist of Kirin here.
I think that Robin will delay his Descent of the Dragons and will first try to unmorph the Stormcrag Elemental.
Agreed. So that wins the Mist of Kirin after Robin used the Megamorph. Now there's a Lightwalker from Robin Steinborn.
And Adrian plays a Deathwind on his own turn to play around a potential Center Soul or other protection spell that could counter the Deathwind in response.
Yeah, this turn, for example, a great example of how Rakshasa Gravecaller couldn't have prevented the Mist of Kirin from threatening a life toll, whereas Deathwind is just that, and something that the control deck desperately needs. Highly disputed pick, so definitely not easy to compare the 2 cards.
Adrian Rosada considering his graveyard as he plays a Dutiful Tendon, which could return a creature from his graveyard. Once it dies, there Temur Battle Rage for Robin Steinborn, but still no 6 land. So I think he's just going to add a Champion of the Arishin, playing around Silumgar Scorn, and he doesn't even know that Adrian has it. So
yeah, Adrian better draw one of his late game bombs sometime soon, because he's falling behind in this game.
He already has 7 lands, 2 Swamps to cast Deathbringer Regent. Still wouldn't be able to cast an Ugin, but I think Robin will swing with the Morph as well, because it's going to be the Stormcrag Elemental, which is a 6/6 Trampler, and I think Adrian can block and get some value with the Code with Venom.
Maybe Adrian can read Robin for the Stormcrag Elemental, because indeed it hasn't really been attacking for a long time, and now Robin finds the 6th land, suddenly attacks. There are not all that many Megamorphs in white or red that cost 6 to unmorph.
I remember that, let me think, I could get a Sidisi's Fate with Palace from an Updraft Elemental. He's considering whether it's worth it. Or Ukut Cobra was one of the first casualties.
Yeah, if Adrian wants to use the Code with Venom to take out the Morph, and he expects it to be Stormcrag Elemental, he would prefer that he blocks with Dutiful Attendant and only loses that one in the exchange.
Yeah.
But if he only blocks with Dutiful Attendant, he doesn't force Robin to commit his 6 mana to unmorphing it. Robin might, because it turns into a creature with trample, but there's no guarantee, and then Adrian is forced potentially to play the Code with Venom, or just lose his Dutiful Attendant without using the Code with Venom yet.
Yeah, I don't think you can Code with Venom, because you just run into the tricks that Robin could have. So Robin would also be well advised not to flip it, I think. It's not really his main game plan anyway to win with the Elemental. So just taking things slowly, I think, is not a bad strategy.
So just blocks with Dutiful Tendon now. Will Robin Megamorph the Stormcrag Elemental, or will he wait for Adrian Rosada to make the first win? But now it's Robin with Megamorph, Stormcrag Elemental, now a 6/6 Trample.
He wants to get the 4 damage in. Understandable, given that he has no other plays.
Yep. So Code with Venom, my Dutiful Tendon, make it a 2/4, meaning that Adrian Rosada will only take 2 from the trample damage, and the creatures will trade. And I believe Adrian Rosada is going to return an Ukut Cobra from his graveyard. That seems to be the best creature that he's there. Unless he wants to get a Palace Familiar for some cards.
Maybe the Updraft Elemental, because that could block the Territorial Rock, and also a Light Warden once Robin bolsters onto it.
Yeah, the Lightwalker could certainly be a problem if Robin ever manages to put a +1/+1 counter on it.
Yeah, I think I like Updraft Elemental more than Ukut Cobra in that particular scenario.
Yep.
And that's because you also have the Gourmet Drowner.
Looks like Adrian is also really thinking about the Palace Familiar. Given that he has some strong late game cards to draw in his deck, I understand him thinking about it, but indeed, I would probably take the Updraft Elemental here.
Yeah, so as Adrian Rosada decides and goes for the Ukut Cobra, we have the first game result where Rosario Maij is up a game on Amit Cohen in the A match. And look what Adrian just drew. Deathbringer Regent. I think there are probably not many better spots than when your opponent has 4 creatures to your 2, and your opponent is tapped out, so he can't do any shenanigans. Getting a 5/6 certainly nice, especially when you have a 2/5 death touch to back it up in case something goes wrong.
Then again, maybe Adrian doesn't have to commit it to the board yet. He could potentially wait another turn. Maybe Robin commits another creature to the board, and you get that one with the Deathbringer Regent as well.
I mean, he also has a Silumgar Scorn, so I mean, he could theoretically wait.
I don't think you should. Like the thing is, there's some ways to generate a bit more value, but there's also other ways where this backfires completely.
Yeah.
So I think
like if you're forced into a block and then there are not enough creatures around anymore for the Deathbringer Regent's ability to trigger. Yeah, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I think now with the Regent and also follow up Ukut Cobra with Silumgar Scorn, I don't think there's anything that Robinstein will be able to do this game.
Yeah, the Cobra are also the perfect answer already to the Hungering Yeti.
Yeah, there's an Enduring Victory, which we know what will happen to that one once the Deathbringer Regent attacks. Yeah, where I'm gonna Adrian's just gonna just Silumgar Scorn counter that. I have a dragon, so get out of here. Go down to 10. And while Adrian Rosada doesn't have much of a follow-up, I think this should be enough to take care of Robin Steinborn.
Well, Robin still has the descent of the dragon, so if Robin can add a creature to the board here in the next turn, play the descent, get a couple of 4/4 dragons, he could deal with the Deathbringer Regent that way and potentially take over the game. It's far from over.
It's quite sad how badly his best rare matches up against Adrian's cards. Like Deathbringer Regent is huge against a large descent of the dragons, but also Ugin.
Ugin, yeah.
So
-0.
It's like if he knew what he was facing, he would not be happy. He knows half of it, but he's going for the line that Frank suggested.
Yep. So with Robin Steinborn down to 5.
But is he only targeting his own creatures?
Yeah, he could target the Deathbringer Regent as well.
Yes, he could.
To
It
make
says
it a
destroy any number of target creatures and basically replace
But
them with
that-
a 4/4 dragon for the controller.
That must be a misplay.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
He could have turned that 5/6 dragon into a 4/4 on the other side of the board.
Yeah,
Would have been much better.
indeed.
So even in the limited capital of the world,
They forget to read the
sometimes things happen.
Adrian Rosada didn't draw much, but I think he now has a Gurmak Drowner. I think there's he should sacrifice it to itself, I think. I quite like the Cobra on this board.
Yeah, I mean the Cobra, apart from the fact that it's tapped,
I see Ugin though, so the Adrian Rosada is gonna take that with the Robin Steinborn on 3. I think we're gonna see Ugin deal the 3 damage to the face.
That'll work. Yeah, unless Robin somehow manages to gain some life on the next turn, which seems unlikely.
well,
Ugin is
even
gonna
if he
take it
gains
down.
some life, Ugin has some other abilities as well.
Yeah. The -0, take out all of the dragons, for instance.
Yeah, there's the writings on the wall with Adrian Rosada having all the powerful cards. Robin Steinborn did draw a swamp, I think, for his Colligan that he is splashing, but doesn't have one in his hand. I think he's concealing the fact that he actually is playing some black. So will we see Ugin? Adrian's like, yeah, I'll play a land. I'll tap 8.
I got this.
I got Ugin. I'll deal 3 to you. And Adrian's like, yep. Not much I can do about that one. And now he's like, guys, he has a Deathbringer Regent and an Ugin. What the hell? All right. we're gonna take a look at the match between Amit Cohen and Rosario Maij. Is Rosario Maij on the right? He also has a blue-black deck, and as you can see, it's the double custodian of the trove. So 2/5 defender comes to play tapped, holding off the ground, and I think Amit Cohen is firmly on the Grace Blade Artisan plan with triple Abzan Runemark, I think.
Yeah, a card that most players wouldn't really consider to be a huge playable, but yeah, if you put it on Graceblade Artisan, you get a substantial boost, suddenly turning it into a big monster.
Yeah,
It's a game plan at least.
Yeah, I mean the Artisan is 6/7 now.
Yeah, and there
And
was
it's
actually a
over,
lethal
yeah.
attack with the epic confrontation on Conifer Strider.
Yeah, wow. I mean, as we saw, it was 1-0 for Rosario, Rosada, and Schäfer, but Amit Cohen pulled one back, as we saw there with his Aura theme deck in the finals of a GP. I think you have to be really courageous to go for that strategy.
It was about time to see a real theme deck. There is some build-around cards in this draft format, and at a 6-person table, it might actually be more potent than going for like a regular strategy.
All right, we're going to stay and watch the Graceblade Artisan theme deck in action. I think it's probably one of the most exciting things coming out of this draft. And it's going to be the Game 3 decider. Pretty important. As you see, the players are shuffling up. Rosario Maij on the right and Amit Cohen on the left. From talking to Amit, I still haven't understood if he actually speaks German or not, because he keeps switching out from English to German, well, to broken German very fast.
He understands. I think he understands his teammates when they talk German, but he just prefers to answer in English.
Okay.
Because it's more natural for him.
Yeah.
I believe his nationality is Israeli.
Israeli.
But he is living in Berlin at the
Yes.
moment, right?
He actually we've been calling both of these teams teams from Berlin, but Adrian Rosada is currently residing in Bremen.
Okay.
So technically, only one of these teams is Berlin, if you count all the residences.
Yeah, Bremen is quite far from Berlin as well, right?
It's definitely not a suburb of Berlin.
Okay.
What I like about Amit's deck is that he also has double Conifer Strider, which means that if he draws one of his 3 Abzan Rune Marks, but not the Graceblade Artisan, he at least has another good creature to put the enchantments on. Now,
Well,
now a bit protected with hexproof.
Sure, but it's a 7/3. It's still, you can still trade with with other creatures. But sure, it's a plan.
Sure, but like if the opponent puts, I don't know, like a 3/3 in front of it, he also has plenty of pump spells like
Yeah,
Tread Upon
That's important.
to boost it at that point, or maybe like a second Abzan Rune Mark. You can still make a hexproof creature that gets out of hand quite quickly.
Does he have some bolster tricks like Gift of Dromoka?
Maybe that's the best thing about Conifer Strider. It'll put in Dromoka Gift of Dromoka on it.
He doesn't have that card, but he does have cached defenses, which
Okay.
also bolsters for
that's
3.
great.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. I see the players shuffling. It looks like Amit Cohen is mulliganing, as Rosario does have 7 cards there. So now that we found out the true identity of Rosario, was it Rosario Maij that is in Bremen?
No,
Adrian Rosada?
Adrian.
Adrian Rosada is currently residing in Bremen. It's not a
Formerly from Berlin.
okay. That still counts. So 6 for Amit Cohen. I see Conifer Strider, Handuik. I think that's a Surak.
Yeah, he has 1 copy of that in his deck. Definitely one of the better rares in the Dragons of Tarkir set.
Yeah, for sure.
He'll be happy to have that one on turn 4.
Yeah, still considering it might be possible that he has the 2 planes in his hand. You see, like Ravenstein smiling, and I'm just like, yeah, what do you like?
What do you want to have?
Yeah,
What are you aiming for?
I think it's Rosario Maij on the play, so maybe they decided to keep it because he's under first draw is a forest, so
Easy keep.
easy. I think he might have only had 1 land there, but drew the forest and has a Starker Beastbreaker. I think he also has Arish and Cleric.
Yeah, Amit Cohen might actually curve out perfectly this game, and then Rosario will ask, "What were you thinking about with that mulligan?"
Yeah,
You have to take some risks. It doesn't really matter that it's a 1-1 scenario, because going down to 5 is not necessarily the better way to go.
Do you see the card in deck box of Amit Cohen? It is a cash defenses.
Oh, you boarded it out?
Maybe he sideboarded it out.
Hmm?
Maybe he has like a card in his sideboard that could be good in this matchup. Maybe like a display of dominance when he's scared of all the removal spells, or maybe a board in artifact removal for the custodian of the trove. Amiko is not scared. 2/5, I don't
Return
care.
to the earth, potentially.
Yeah, sure. That could be one card. So he puts the Abzan Rune Mark on a Tarka Beastbreaker and swings in for 4.
Gets Vigilance.
Yeah.
Which is the bonus handed out by the Rune Mark. Not super relevant at this point because the 2/5 cannot really attack either. But a bonus is a bonus.
Yeah, there's a Lotus Path Djinn, and looks like Amit Cohen will stop playing lands now. He would have loved to add a Surag the Hunt Call to the board, but it looks like he might just add an Arashin Cleric. So gaining 3, but not really presenting a threat to the board.
Also, not the best card against the blue-black deck. Usually, you aren't under pressure on the ground.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah. I probably might have liked the cash defenses more than Arashin Cleric, but maybe he was worried about the creature count. 3 mana Monastery Siege from Rosario Maij. So we assume he's choosing Khans, which means he's going to draw 2, discard 1.
Draw
an additional card.
Draw an additional card and then discard
yeah.
1.
Yeah. So instead of drawing 1 card in his draw step,
Good.
he draws 2 and discards 1.
There's a return in the earth for Amit Cohen, but still just 3 lands, as he can cast the Conifer Strider or the Surag or the return into the earth itself and just pass the turn. He also has 4 months Nurturing and Hunduik, so his hand is literally 5 forecasting cost spells. Imagine if he draws the land. He's going to be in great shape. So there's the drawing 2 from Rosario Maij, who is playing actually, he's splashing white for Secure the Wastes.
Yeah, you see it there, top card of his hand.
Yeah, they were wondering if they should play it or not.
Maybe he discards it if he doesn't have a white source yet.
It depends.
If you have the Monastery Siege, you have more than enough time to find the planes in your deck.
Yeah. He discarded a Meringue River Prowler. Maybe if he can find a black permanent, then
Value.
he can replay it.
Actually, quite surprising to see such an aggressive card in his deck.
There's another Custodian of the Trove. And a swing for 2 with Lotus Pageant. So Amit going down to 18.
On the other hand, the Meringue River Prowler gives him a win condition, right? He's locking up the board here with all the 2/5 defenders. It is unblockable, so at least the Meringue River Prowler can eventually give a win condition for Rosario. You also see the synergy with the Monastery Siege and possible exploit creatures.
Yep, no 4th land for Amit Cohen, but at least he drew a Stand Step Outcast, so he can add something to the board. And I think he's going to go with a 1/1 flyer, Spirit Token. So, untapping. Rosario might now in the driver's seat with the Monastery Siege and not that much pressure from Amit Cohen. He has barricaded himself between the 2 artifact custodians, and they're good for now. But once Amit starts drawing lands, might go downhill quickly for Rosario.
Yeah, this Monastery Siege is not really generating that much value. It's certainly good for Rosario, but you still have to discard 1 card, so he isn't really pulling ahead.
No, there's a Noxious Dragon though. That's a very good card on this board. Just an epic confrontation from Amit Cohen. Maybe a bit too late at this point.
No, especially because Noxious Dragon is just horrible. If you kill it here, you lose your Beastmaster, and don't think you can afford that. Maybe kill the Lotus Path Djinn? Is that a line?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think Amit pretty much has to. He cannot really afford to keep on taking 6 damage in the air, otherwise he just loses too quickly. And yeah, taking out the Noxious Dragon is also not offering a great trade.
Yeah, so he's gonna try to go for the epic confrontation, targeting the Beastbreaker. I mean, he kind of anticipated that's gonna happen eventually. So he fought the dragon away. So only with Lotus Path Djinn. I think he thinks that I just need more time to get the 4th land, start playing my spells. I have the Return to the Earth to maybe kill the Lotus Path Djinn.
Yeah, it's actually fair enough. Also because the 4-4 was not getting through any of the 2-5s anyway.
Yeah.
So might as well slow down the clock of Rosario.
Yeah, there's an anticipate from Rosario. Takes a card, puts 2 on the bottom.
He is digging through his deck quite quickly. Eventually he'll find the planes, which will allow him to cast the card that gives him X 1/1 tokens.
Security wastes, yeah.
Mhm.
So it just plays morph. There's tapped land. Wow.
Daggers.
Pretty much. It will gain him 1 life, but we would have really wanted an untapped land this turn. Would have been great.
It's the one untapped land in his deck too.
Yeah, Blossoming Sand's not helping his cause, but at least it's land. Swung back for 1 with a spirit token. Rosario Maij again being able to use the Monastery Siege to filter through his draws. I think he has plenty of lands, so he can maybe discard a few. It looks like he has 4 spells here, so he's gonna discard Merciless Executioner, I believe. I think he's digging for planes.
Yeah, the Merciless Executioner doesn't really do much at this point. Amit will just sacrifice an inconsequential creature. So not really the card you want to have.
Yeah, so it hits the bin. Oil's Pageant swings in for 2. So the game is now 12 apiece. Remember, this is the game 3 of this match. If one of the players wins, then he puts his team in the driver's seat. But now with Rakshasa Gravecrawler sacrificing Custodian of the Trove, I think that front seat, that's Rosario Maij.
Could this be the Rakshasa Gravecaller that Adrian Rosada passed?
I think it is.
Yes.
That was a pick where he took Z-Wind over it, because his deck was just looking for more removal spells and already had plenty of exploit creatures. Rosario Maij will have been really happy to see that Rakshasa Gravecaller. Would have been like 4th pick or something.
Fourth or fifth
That's
pick,
super
yeah.
late for a premium uncommon like that.
And Amit is white-green. His neighbor is white-red. So it's very possible that none of the other team has actually drafted any black cards.
Yep.
Yeah, I think one team was all black drafters
Yes.
and the other team was all white drafters. Yeah, that's sometimes how the team drafts shape up.
Alright, so there's drawing 2 cards. There's side beyond side that Rosario is probably going to discard here. He has 2 spells in his hand. We don't really know what they are, except the Security Waste, which we saw before. Rosario is still playing it slow. No need to rush. I mean, there is the Suraga after Amit didn't draw a 5th land.
This does feel a bit like real old school Magic to me, in the sense that the players are not entering a damage race. Rosario is just playing high toughness blockers that block on the ground, and a couple of small, decently sized flyers that eventually pack away at Amit's life total.
Yep. So adds the Ojita Interceptor and Palette Familiar to the board. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah, it's just the way that blue mages have been playing limited for a long time, and it's still a valid game plan.
So return to the Earth on the Monastery Siege at this point.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit for late for that.
That's not getting you back into this game.
No, the siege is not even the biggest problem at this point. It's got to be the Ojita Interceptor or the Lotus Pageant that's pressuring his life total.
Well, it's definitely the Jin, because the Interceptor gets blocked by the Spirit token.
And Rosario just drew the planes off the top.
Yeah,
So-
didn't even want to discard a card this time.
He would have probably discarded the next card in his deck, and I think Rosario can start thinking about swinging with everything, but just goes in with the flyers for now.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, you're still threatening pretty much lethal next turn.
Yep. So that's 3 damage. Amit Cohen down to 7.
And even though it's not a great trade of a 3-1 versus a 1-1 flyer, you at least take out the option that Amit bolsters onto the 1-1 flyer and gets a huge blocker.
So there's an Eerie Bowmasters. At least that blocks the fire. End of turn though. Secure the waste.
Well, that's 6 more creatures, so yeah, I think these players are just counting now that probably Amit just doesn't have enough blockers here.
Yep, I think that's true.
Yeah, of course. Rosario had 6 attackers.
Yeah, it's
Even-
enough. It's
even
definitely
before
enough.
even before casting Secure the Wastes.
Yeah, it should be lethal.
Yep. So Rosario Maij swings with all the creatures, There's the handshake. So Rosario Maij takes the first match for his team, and with both his teammates being up a game, I think we're really close to a conclusion. We're going to look at the Robin Steinborn playing against Adrian Rosada. Oh, this looks familiar. That bringing Regent on an almost empty board. We'll get you the life totals as soon as possible. But it looks like the Deathbringer Regent has killed a fair number of creatures, but not being aggressive here, so I assume Adrian Rosada is in low life total.
Yeah, and it's not a morph, but just a manifest, so might not be able to untap. Oh,
Call again, Storm's Fury.
not the.
1/1 haster.
Might this be lethal? Yeah, Adrian must
It
have been on
is.
2.
Wow, it is. He must have been on 2 life there. So yeah, at least evening it out here in this game.
Awesome win. I mean,
Yeah.
from basically nowhere.
All right, we have a quick look at 3 here. Oh, Durger Nemesis, Hooded Assassin. Yep, this is the match between Jasper Grimmer and Frank Schäfer. With Jasper Grimmer on the left. As we said, there was 3 white drafters on one team, 3 black drafters on the other team. Again, Esper build, so blue, black, and white. Very, very interesting how this worked out. That one team has actually 3 blue-black drafters.
And that Frank still has white cards.
Yes.
So there's 4 white drafters at the table.
Indeed, just 2 red drafters. All right, Dragon Bell Monk, Durgan Nemesis, Lightwalker on the board for Frank Schäfer, who is up a game on Jasper Grimmer. Jasper, however, has a sprinting Warbrood and was using Dromoka Dunecaster to great effect. There's also a Screamage Brawler. So now we get the life totals 15 to 11. So now 13 to 11. Yeah, the Dragon Bell Monk successfully attacked past the Screamage Brawler. As they did anticipate something going down here. And there's a Dragonloft Idol as well as the Dromoka Warrior, I think. Dromoka Captain, sorry. Yeah, Dromoka Captain. But now Frank has no cards left in his hands. Let's see if Jasper Grimmer can take advantage here.
Frank's deck does look a lot less streamlined than those of his teammates. when I compare this to the blue-black control machine that Adrian Rosada is piloting.
To be fair, it did look like the packs were a bit weaker than what we've seen in the semifinals. So now Jasper Grimmer has to attack with a sprinting Warbird. And I think Frank Schäfer will gladly trade it with the Durger Nemesis. Jasper Grimmer, I don't think can afford to tap down the Nemesis to force a better trade. So we'll see what Jasper Grimmer can add. I think he has a Teamer Battle Rage though. So maybe he's really close to winning.
And why wouldn't you tap down the Serpent?
Maybe. I would be scared of taking a lot of damage on the backswing.
It's actually not that much damage, right? It's
potentially. But with Frank Schäfer being no cards, then you're right. It's much more likely that Frank will just draw a land and not being able to do anything.
The thing is, you aren't even too unhappy if the Nemesis blocks with its 5 toughness. But I think you're giving a little bit away here.
Yeah, it is a 6/5. It doesn't have a counter. It wasn't megamorphed, so yeah, it is a little obvious. But if Jasper can play the Battle Rage here and then maybe follow up with like a good creature, it can be relevant. I don't think Frank wants to block with more than just the Nemesis, and with not tapping it down, that's really interesting.
Well, the reason indeed is that Jasper might be afraid of Frank attacking back on the backswing. If Frank top decks the removal spell for the 2/3, Frank can really get in for a lot of damage.
Sandblast, Artful Maneuver,
wow.
Teamer Battle Rage.
Take 14.
Take 14, yeah, just out of nowhere. Yeah, Frank's like, yep,
That's
let's
incredible.
go to game 3. Wow.
I mean, we saw the Teamer Battle Rage, but thought that would just in the hand. But
Jasper Grimmer just stole the game.
Incredible.
And Robin Steinborn just stole the game as well.
Yeah.
We've just seen some victories that seemed really, really unlikely.
That was incredible. So a 5/4 sprinting Warbird, Sandblast killing the blocker, Teamer Battle Rage giving it trample and double strike, and Artful Maneuver give it +2/+2. So that was a 7/6 double strike trampler. That was enough to take the game.
Opponent at 11. The Durgar Nemesis exactly dead from the Sandblast.
Yeah, and if you compare the decks, I mean, I think it was fairly obvious that Rosario Maij's deck was not that great, but he managed to win. But Adrian Rosada's deck I quite like. So I think Robin Steinborn has to steal one more game.
Yeah, it hinges on him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think Jasper's deck can defeat that of Frank.
Yes.
That doesn't look like a match where Frank is favored, but here I can't help but think that Adrian is favored if the game goes long.
It does have only 6 cards, but it looks like he had a monument, a couple lands, as well as a hooded assassin. So I think he'll be fine. A Whisk Away too. If he plays a 2/3 here, okay. I think that's a sideboard. Break through the line, so meaning every creature with power 2 or less can be unblockable and get haste.
Yeah, for just 1 red mana.
Yeah, but very very mana efficient card though. Not mana efficient, mana hungry card.
Yeah.
If you have to spend a red every time you really want to push something through.
Now, it's certainly unorthodox, but an interesting sideboard card.
Oh, I like the idea because you can, if the game goes long, you still have a shot at winning with this kind of card. It's you have to think of it more like a lava axe, and it's not relevant that it's in play already, or almost not relevant.
Yeah, and Adrian presented several high toughness creatures in the previous games, and this is an excellent way to get around all of those 2/4 blockers. Well, there we already get 2 damage that he wouldn't have been able to deal otherwise.
Yeah, but the problem is that he doesn't have too many creatures in his hand. It looks like he's very spell heavy. I saw Baiting Dragonfire, Teamer, Battle Rage, Enduring Victory. I think he has a Wild Slash too.
Yeah, you want to pair the Break the Lines with just a bunch of creatures. That's true.
Yeah.
He could have played the Baiting Dragonfire on the Hooded Assassin to stave off some of the attacks from Adrian, but it's not really a premium creature that you need to answer with the Baiting Dragonfire.
Especially because Adrian is now threatening to just play a huge dragon that you might want to deal with.
Yeah, Rootless Deathfang, for instance, that Robin has seen before.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of playing this format to have the guts to board in, break through the line in this kind of final scenario.
Yeah, there's Sidisi's Fateful for for Adrian Rosada. And Robin Steinborn did draw a Colgan Aspirant, so you can play that, give it haste and pseudo unblockability.
Yeah, the issue is that he is constrained on red mana.
Yeah, exactly.
He has drawn his 1 swamp that he's using to splash Colgan, the Storm's Fury, and so that means he is once again not able to make the most out of his turn.
So that gets whisked away. I think Adrian Rosada is pouncing a little on the fact that Robin Steinborn seems to be only have 4 lands. Maybe has some mana problems, can't deploy his cards that well. I think if now Adrian starts to get aggressive with the monument, that could be a decent plan. But I think he has a Lotus Path Djinn.
Yeah, he's gonna play that, and then he's just gonna start activating the monument whenever he can. If he doesn't draw anything, okay. This time he's more aggressive, because in the Swiss we saw him be very defensive with the monument, and we think that he maybe gave away a little bit of an edge by doing so. But now I think I like Baiting Dragonfire.
Plays down a Hooded Assassin. Makes the Colgan Aspirant unblockable with the breakthrough line and attacks for 2. Now let's see if Adrian Rosada keeps up his aggressive style, or I think he drew Silumgar Scorn. That could be actually pretty good if he plays Lotus Path Djinn here and maybe counters some spell. If Robin Steinborn taps out, we've seen it counter Enduring Victory before. So
my problem is that if your opponent has Break Through the Line in play, he's just really likely to keep open that red mana when casting spells.
Yeah, Adrian basically needs to get into a situation where he can activate his monument, get a dragon that way, and then have the Silumgar Score and the actual counterspell mode up.
Yeah, that's 2 lands off.
But that and it only works on defense.
Yeah,
so.
he cannot attack with the monument in that case.
Also, like countering one of your opponent's little creatures is not the position you want to be in, really.
Yep.
Is Robin not deploying another creature to the board?
Not yet. So he swings with the Jasper and put in Adrian Rosada down to 14.
Still, one way or another, Adrian is threatening a 2-turn clock. Right, he
Okay.
has 6 power worth of flyers with Robin at 12 life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Robin is representing something here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
he had just played a Stormsinger face up.
Yeah, keeping open 3 mana. Adrian must be scared of something. Could be something like a Sandblast, perhaps.
Or it could be a total bluff.
It could actually be a bluff. It could be a really good bluff.
I think it's
Mhm.
definitely in Robin's range to do really crazy things.
That didn't sound particularly positive.
No, I mean, like, I think he's a truly out-of-the-box thinker.
Yes.
I would, just like Thoralf Severin, his very close friend, they tend to go, a little crazy sometimes.
I think this is a great play. I think Robin only has Wild Slash and Enduring Victory in hand, not the Sandblast that he was representing. And Robin didn't really have other good ways of beating all the flyers.
Yeah,
I
and-
liked what he was trying.
So he's trying to go for the Descent of the Dragons, but he's going to get blown out by the Silumgar
No.
Scorn. He was maybe a little too antsy here, and now he's going to be on the receiving end of 6 damage.
I think he could
Oh.
have dealt a point here
No, he could have dealt 1 damage here.
when Adrian cast the Silumgar Scorn.
Mm.
I mean, Adrian actually had all the mana open, so he could have animated the Silumgar Monument and played Silumgar Scorn. if he
Exactly,
wanted
but
to.
he couldn't have blocked.
No.
That's what I meant.
He could-
Yeah, Robin
could-
must have been a bit flustered. He was expecting to get to 4/4 dragons, and then all of a sudden there was a counterspell.
Well, it's not no excuse to miss a point of
Yeah,
damage.
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
but now he has Skull and Storm's Fury in his hand.
Yeah, I was very happy when he managed to pick that one up in the draft because I think his draft didn't go particularly well.
Mm.
Now it almost looks like he drew out the now the counter magic
Yeah.
and has pretty much the perfect card here.
I mean, he also has Enduring Victory, but I think playing the Colligan is the right play here. But Adrian, because Adrian Rosada, if he has something, he can't attack with the Silumgar Monument, only with Lotus Patch in.
Yeah, also like having Colgan in play is just really valuable too.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want to dash it out.
Yeah, I think
He
that's
just plays
that's
it,
clearly the best line.
Yeah. I agree.
The
No.
4/5 body is just perfect against both of Adrian's flyers.
And if you have the Enduring Victory next turn, you can still go on the offensive.
So there's
If you
another
survive.
Sidis Faithful, bounces the Colligan.
And that's gonna be it.
And that's it. Adrian Rosada, there's the hand check, and they have won it. Out of nowhere, Sidisi's Faithful bounces the only flyer and manages to animate his Silumgar Monument and swing for the lethal damage here. So Jasper Grimmer didn't need to go for the upset here because Rosario, Maij, Adrian Rosada, as well as Frank Schäfer have managed to win the 2 matches necessary to take the finals. Well, yeah, fantastic finals, I think. We've seen some awesome plays, and I think Robin Stein was trying